Pharmacy robberies are up more than 80% across the country. Here in Seattle, Washington, it's actually the exception. After a 3-year period and more than 200 robberies, its numbers are decreasing. But that doesn't mean that pharmacy owners are letting down their guard.
This is an armed robbery in progress. I'm trying to get the cross street.
In the 80s, it was all about cocaine and heroin and the hard drugs. Certainly in the 2000s, all of a sudden, the rage was no longer the hard drugs. The fascination with the hard drugs, at least in the Pacific Northwest, was gone. Prescription drugs had surpassed hard drugs.
People became overwhelmingly addicted to prescription drugs. It wasn't, I don't think they were going out, those weren't the ones that were going out committing the crimes. I think people took advantage of that, and I think the old supply and demand falls into place there. People are demanding it, so some people kick themselves into a business of robbing pharmacies. And there were 3 specific cases that I worked where 3 people went into business, basically filling orders for drugs, going into the pharmacy, getting those drugs, and then taking them out and selling them. And it became extremely lucrative for all 3.
With one bottle of 80-milligram pills selling at $5,000, competition on the streets became fierce. For pharmacies in Seattle and elsewhere, the new hot commodity in the drug world would lead to 1.3 million pills being stolen between 2006 and 2010. The corner pharmacy was suddenly a target.
And it was creating a very tense atmosphere in these retail pharmacies, which don't have police presence, which are open sometimes 24 hours a day, which are dealing with difficult patient populations, and they were always wanting the same types of drugs.
A couple came in and they were in the store a long while. They were behaving oddly. They were in every corner of the store. They were asking unusual questions, and they just didn't fit the pattern of somebody that usually trades at our pharmacy. So about an hour later, the guy comes back, and when he put on his mask and pulled his gun and demanded drugs, then we took him for a different kind of customer.
They come in with guns, all of them, and with, a hoodie, mask on, give me your drugs. The last instance, came into the pharmacy, put me on the floor, put a gun to my head and said, give me your narcotics.
At its peak, 1 in 6 Seattle pharmacies were being robbed, many at gunpoint between 4 and 6 in the afternoon, a time when customers were arriving after work, some elderly, even small children.
When someone commits a pharmacy robbery, they don't quit until they're stopped. Now that I've got documents here that, we've had people that committed as many as 20 pharmacy robberies. Well, they're driven by the drug, and they will do anything to get that drug. But it just wasn't OxyContin they were after. They're after any opiate-based product, whether it be methadone or morphine or Vicodin, anything that could, give them a high.
But for Seattle, stopping these robberies became priority 1. Collaboration between Seattle police, the DEA, and federal prosecutors would soon lead to an unprecedented effort to stop these crimes from occurring. Long nights of surveillance and a new kind of vigilance became a prescription that would soon work.
I need you to tell me the truth. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Since the case started in Seattle, we had to be the catalyst. That we had a search warrant ready to go of updating everything, so if we went into another jurisdiction or another jurisdiction had somebody that they believed was a suspect, we would help write the search warrant. We had tactical teams ready. We had everything known to mankind lined up and ready to go. We had nightly surveillance that went on for several weeks. There was a true commitment from our agency to help the other agencies because it was a regional problem, and we believed we had come up with a regional solution. In the end, did it work? Yes, it did.
We decided to give it a higher profile because we wanted to use the federal resources, we wanted to generate press, we wanted to get the message out in the way of deterrence. We wanted people to know that if they approach and try to knock off a pharmacy, they would be looking at the feds. I think we also stepped up the interactions with the pharmacy, and we had better reporting, and we had better communication between pharmacies both Seattle Police Department and the DEA, and I think that helped a lot. But if you asked me if I thought that there were any fewer people using prescription drugs, I would say zero. There are zero fewer people. In fact, probably more are using prescription drugs, abusing prescription drugs today than 2 years ago. They're simply getting it in other ways.
Seattle Police and Fire 87.
We just got robbed.
They can't go to jail. They can't.
Why can't you go to
They
jail?
can't go to prison.